and you will get information later about how you can access that recording. So at the moment, everybody's permissions are turned off, but I'm going to turn them on again, very soon. I just want to show you some things navigating this program. And I'll just let you know as well that they've done a big update to this program since we were doing remote learning earlier in the year. So if any of us stumble through this, please be patient with us because we're learning how this all works. So when you have a look through your screen, you should see a purple tab like this one over here. That will expand out your options. There won't be much there at the moment, but once I turn things on, you'll be able to see more information. The two tabs that are particularly important to you will be the chat and also the participants tab. Now, the participants has this little 3 lines at the top of it. That means you can actually click and drag that out of the panel so that you can actually see who's around and also see breakout rooms, which are going to be important later on in the discussions that we have during this session. The other things that will come available, you should be able to see the hand up icon at the bottom of your screen. So if you click that one, it will go purple and a number will come up, and that will help us to identify who has who's wanting to ask a question so that we can kind of get through those questions as we go. The other thing that will appear is the microphone. So you have the choice to ask questions verbally, or you will have the choice to ask your questions in text through the chat. I ask that everyone please keep the chat to a minimum because obviously a chat panel will fill up very quickly if we've got a lot of people typing in at once. So just ask your question. I've got a team of teachers who are here to help answer any of the questions that you have. So what they will do is they will copy and paste the text of your question into their response so that you know that they're responding to your question. I ask that any parents please don't answer other people's questions. Leave it for the teachers to answer, even if you do know the answer, just to avoid any confusion. And please do avoid any emoticons or thank yous or anything like that. We understand that you're grateful for the information, so we don't need to fill up the chat with anything other than questions and answers. So thank you for that. So I'm going to turn on everybody's permissions now. So you are now going to be able to share audio and post chat messages. So you should be able to see by clicking on that purple tab that you have the purple speech bubble chat available and that you will have your microphone available. You do actually need to click on that microphone icon in order to speak. And then I ask that once you've asked your question, turn it off again so that we don't hear all the background noise coming from your microphone. But obviously, by all means, if you don't feel comfortable talking on the microphone, you can type your questions into the chat. The majority of the questions that you need answered will happen at the end of the session where I've set up rooms for different subject areas where people will be able to go and talk to subject experts and get their questions answered, and you'll be free to move between those areas. Okay. The other thing I'm just going to ask, you will have some kind of the icons and things. I just ask that you don't play with those things. This is something that we're not able to switch on and off. So please just type in the chat or use your microphone and hand up. You don't need to use any of the other tools. Okay. So I'm just going to do a quick run through of the subject choices that we have in sciences and what relevant pathways they have. So I'm going to start with our applied science subjects. So these are our practical subjects that are suitable for students who are looking at the work readiness or life and work skills pathway. So students who might be considering a TAFE course or considering going straight into work after they finish school. Science in practice and ag practices are the subjects that we recommend in the science area for them to do. It's always true that we encourage students, to choose subjects that they're interested in, choose subjects that they think they're going to do well in. There's no requirement that students do a science at all. So if they're not interested in science, they don't have to choose one. But if they are interested, they should be choosing one that's relevant to their interests and one that they think they will be able to succeed in. And these applied science subjects, they have practical elements to them. They also have written elements to them. And there's a range of different assessment tasks that students need to do in order to succeed in those subjects. Our general subjects, and I'm sorry that the program has distorted my PowerPoint slide, but our general subjects are for students who are interested in the intensive academic pathway or the tertiary options pathway. So we're looking at the opportunity for students to study sciences that are very specific to their interests to lead to particular tertiary pathways in their studies of university. And the tertiary options pathway is where they can do a combination of general and applied subjects, because the general science subjects, as well as all of the other general subjects, are quite a heavy load. So they are very intensive senior subjects for students to be working through. So the general sciences, all of them, ag science, biology, chemistry, marine science, and physics, all of those subjects are rigorous academic subjects, and they all have the same kind of standards and expectations of them. So no one of them is any particularly easier than any of the others. They're all just very specific, in-depth subjects in those particular areas. So we do expect that students in all of those general subjects will participate in teamwork, experiments and field work or farm work, depending on the subject. They will be expected to do independent reading and revision beyond what they're set for class and homework. There's mathematical elements and written elements to the task, so they need to be able to apply formulas, they need to be able to construct and interpret graphs, and they need to be able to write written responses, extended written responses, because that is what the assessment is all about in those subjects. So something that will be very useful for your student to consider is the prerequisites for our subjects. Now, the conversation that I had with the students on Friday is that, of course, their Year 9 science is a very broad subject, and they do units in particular specialisations. So just because they might not have gotten a B on their semester 1 report card for Year 9 doesn't mean they're necessarily not going to get into one of these subjects like biology, chemistry, and physics. It just means they'll need to have a talk to their teacher, they'll need to come and have a talk to me, we'll have a look at their work ethic, we'll have a look at how they've done in those particular units, and we'll decide whether it's a good choice for them. And Year 10 is basically a practice year for the senior subjects. So that's the opportunity for students to try subjects that they are interested in, see how they go in them, how successful they can be, and prepare themselves for what Year 11 and 12 are going to offer. So each of these general subjects has prerequisites in science, maths, and English, which recognises the numeracy and literacy elements of those subjects. Whereas science and practice and ag practices as applied subjects don't have specific prerequisites, but we do obviously want students to carefully consider whether those subjects are right for them. It's not just something where we want them to fall into that subject because there's nothing else they want to do. We want them to choose those subjects because that's something that they're particularly interested in, that they want to carry on understanding things about science that's relevant to their lives as they go beyond school, but they don't necessarily want to go to the academic pathway on that. The subject teachers in the break rooms will be able to elaborate on those ideas for you as well. So this is where we can start to go into our breakout rooms, and you can ask specific questions about the subjects that your student might be interested in. So if you have popped out that little tab there for the participants, you will see that we have a list of breakout rooms there: the chemistry and physics breakout room, the biology and marine science breakout room, and the ag science, ag practices and science in practice breakout room. And each one of those has a little kind of enter icon on it. So you can click on that icon to move to another room. If your question's been answered there and you want to ask a question about a different subject, you're welcome to just go and switch over to another room. You can move freely between all of those rooms. I will remain in the main room here where we are at the moment, and if anyone's got general questions, or if there's a question perhaps that the teachers in the breakout room can't answer, you can come back to me and we can have a chat about that. The other thing is that you can click on the little 3 dots next to the teachers' names, and you can send a private message if there's something sensitive that you wanted to ask that you don't necessarily want to ask in front of the group, and they'll be monitoring those as well to try and keep all of those questions answered. So as I said before, please just keep questions in the chat, or you can use your microphone to ask questions in the rooms. The teachers will be monitoring and trying to get all of those questions answered for everybody, and hopefully one person might ask a question that will benefit a bunch of people, so we don't have to repeat ourselves too much. And in the chat, if teachers are responding to a question that's been typed in the chat, they will copy and paste the text of that question into their response so that we can see that the answers come from there. All right, so you are now free to move yourself into whichever ones of those breakout rooms and go and have a chat to those teachers, or you are welcome to ask any questions here. So if anyone's still having trouble finding how to get into the breakout rooms, we've got the participants tab down the bottom of our screen after we've clicked the purple expansion button. Within that, you will see headings that look like these ones that have subjects listed there, and you need to click the little box with the arrow on it to move into that room.